Well, folks, we did it yesterday. There was the Jaba-Thon. Yeah, well, they had other names, right? I think Baxathon was what they called it. But what we're seeing right now is the government really congratulating itself. The Prime Minister's elated, and the media that hosted it all are elated. But is it real, or is it more, well, shall we say the frank words, BS? Who do we go for an authority but this guy next to me? Vaughan, how did you interpret what happened?
Yeah, look, it was an interesting day. I mean, all the king's horses and all the king's men were there. And I think that, what the best thing to do is, as you say, what was the real outcome and was it great? I mean, I must be honest, 130,000 doses. I did expect more, but I think now that's like, you got to look at it closely and go, the result is a result. So as a post-match wrap-up of the Super Saturday Jaba-Thon, where 130,000 doses were given, what was the outcome? And to understand that, we need to demystify the numbers, because surely if you look in the media right now, people are sort of calling percentages and numbers. There are three sets of numbers to put this into clarification. So anyone following it, these are the only three sets that the media are using. The first set is eligible population versus total. Forget the total population, only think about eligible. Eligible is everyone over the age of 12. People under the age 12 and down don't get vaccinated. That's about 4.3 out of our team of 5.1, 4.3 mil, okay, is the eligible population. So the second set of numbers, once we've clarified total population eligible, the second set of numbers, first jab, second jab versus second jab. So in the eligible population, 84% have had the first jab, 65% have had the second jab. Okay, so basically that's as of yesterday. The third set of numbers, and this is the crunch, if it's like an assumption, if 84% of the population have had the first jab, we should assume that within 6 weeks, the second jab will be administered. So does that mean within 6 weeks, we're October 17 today, does that mean by December 1, say, we will be over 80% of the population has had the 2 doses? That's the big if we will get there. I think so. I absolutely do. If that assumption sticks, it actually looks really promising. But this is what I think, Max. The last mile in anything is always the hardest. So what I foresee is that we'll get to, say, around 72%. From there on in, it will be a real grind. The tail enders will be a challenge to vaccinate for a whole bunch of reasons, whether it be trust, anti-vax, religion, health issues, geographic location, education, you name it. And we shouldn't be alarmed by this. These people are not you. They've always been there in society.
Well, yeah, Vaughan, and a couple of things with that. Yeah, I agree. It's going to get very, very hard because there's a whole lot of people out there, and I see them on social media now, who are determined never, ever to be vaccinated. Yep. Well, with this vaccination, they probably already have the polio and all the other ones, and they probably get tetanus and all sorts of things. Right. But let's wait for that. That's going to be very, very difficult to get through. The other thing is eligible population born. My view is that children can get COVID. Children can die of this, and we've seen that overseas. So I think just dismissing them out of the equation is probably wrong. They won't be vaccinated, but the facts are that they make up our full population and are vulnerable when we should be taking them into consideration. I know right now it makes the Prime Minister's numbers look good, saying 85, but they really should be taken into consideration. Now, the other factor is, yesterday, I think we conquered 0.5% of the population. Now, that's on a day, which is bloody good. I'm really in for all this. I really do think we need to get vaccinated. But are we going to make it now to Christmas on that sort of small proportion per day? I think we're going to see that number dwindle very, very quickly from now on, because they got low-hanging fruit. A lot of I believe there was only 40%, or was it 40,000, were actually first vaccination. So the rest of it was low-hanging fruit. People just waiting for the second one anyway. So I might as well do it on Saturday and I get a free bit of pizza. Why not? And I don't blame you guys. I would too. But the facts are only 40% actually got off the AA and really got done. So and that number's going to get slower. I'm not optimistic we're going to get there. I think we're going to end up, well, with COVID coming in if they allow the borders open. Now, that's the big question for next time.
Yeah, and there are big questions there, Max. As far as I'm concerned, if we can get to 72%, as I said, which I think is the realistic, where we'll grind it out to, look around the world, that's not out of the game. That's actually a there or thereabouts result. It's not bad. It's not good. Ideally, there are some unicorn countries that have beaten that for a whole bunch of reasons. But I think that the reality is, and this is a chat we'll have shortly, maybe this week. We've got to have a clear indication of when we hit that 70, say, for example, New Zealand returns to level 2, the economy has to breathe again. Not for today. Don't want to make that, Super Saturday, job done. We got it in there. 130,000 doses went through that we didn't have yesterday. So let's just bank that one and go from there. But Max, to wrap up on this, the positive thing about Super Saturday was, regardless of political agenda or leaning, what we saw is the whole country galvanise and work together for the day. That was actually a real plus. That people that you wouldn't normally see rubbing shoulders. That was great. So there are always exceptions to the rule. And the exception to the rule for Super Saturday was the man that runs his own self-promotion business by the name of Destiny Church, Brian Tamaki. That's the exception to the rule. Yep, I know, I can see you there. What sort of people worship a God that stands for arrogant, selfish, irresponsible, careless, and illegal behavior?
I don't know, and I really do put it all into those categories. I totally support that. I think the arrogance was huge. And I'm thinking he's been advised by high-powered lawyers, because he can afford it with all the money he gets handed to him in donations, that he's kind of got that advice that he's unprosecuted. He's not going to get prosecuted. Well, be it. But look, COVID, if it really hits hard, those people that attended yesterday are really going to be vulnerable if it gets through their community. So, look, I don't want that for them either. But, look, Brian, you do good in the community. Don't do bad. And, mate, I think this is bad. And, look, it's not helping your reputation. And particularly when COVID hits, I bet you've got plenty of excuses why you've gone and conducted yourself such a menacing way to the rest of the population.
Yeah, absolutely, Max. And so no thanks at all to Brian Tamaki and his lost flock for being the only negative aspect of Super Saturday. And I guess as far as I'm concerned, Max, on that note, here endeth my Sunday sermon.
Well, you know what I think we got to talk about next is the government is going to have no choice, but they're going to have to open up one day. And I would love it if it was the 1st of December. I think that's what the date they should open, irrespective of how many are vaccinated. And guess what? The consequences are going to be harsh on our society if they're not vaccinated. So, folks, I think we've got no choice. We're going to end up like Fiji, where they got 90% of their population vaccinated. Why? Because they lost thousands of people who died of COVID. Then take that into consideration. Is the vaccine necessary or not? Right now, that nation's, it's 90%. Well, one vaccination, 80% double vaccination. We should follow suit, but I don't want to see people dying, and that's where we have another chat next week. Or tomorrow, maybe, old friend. See you then.
We'll be back. Yep. Okay. You have a great Sunday, Max.
Cheers, Vaughan.
Okay. I got the last word.